welcome back to CODEIN. So I hope you guys are all doing safe and having a nice time. So as we are talking about the C series, so another topic that in C is what is a array. So we are going to discuss about array, like what is an array, how do we define an array, what is the benefit of using an array, like how many values that we can give in an array, the ways through which we can initialize an array, what is a 1D array, what is a 2D array. So means these ample number of questions that come to one's mind whenever you are talking about array. So all these questions going to be clear with the end of the video. So please do watch the video till my channel. Please do like it, share it, and also subscribe to my channel. Already posted content on my YouTube channel that's gonna really help you. The coding part, HTML, CSS, and everything. So please do give it a subscribe and also like it, share it, and let's get started with the video. So now the very first thing, what is an array? So whenever I'm talking about array, basically when we are using arrays are used when we want to use similar type of data, but we want to add a number of times the same data. Suppose say in a class there are number of students. So if a teacher want to maintain the data and want to enter something into a program, so what it need to do, it need to declare, suppose say there are 10 students. So do we need to define 10 variables for the same 10 students? No. In that case we are not going to define 10 variables. Instead we are going to use an array. So basically what does an array do? It will include the same type of data within one single name, and based upon that we will have a particular size. So as you can see on the screen, when we're talking about array, so the array is basically, first of all, we will write the data type, and then we will write the array name, and in the square brackets we will tell the size of the array, and then end it with a semicolon. So this is basically the syntax of an array. And when we are coming to the definition of an array basically is a data structure that stores a collection of related values that are of the same type. So whenever we are going to define an array, we must have a data type involved in it, the name of the array, and the size of the array. We can initialize the array with different ways, and also we can use the array within a program if we want to enter more than one values and we do not want to again and again declare the same data type of a variable, or we want to define different elements, or we can say different variables of the similar type. So now when we are talking about array, we talked about that array we should have known the initialization ways. So whenever I am talking about an array can be initialized in many ways. The number one way is we are just defining the data type, the array name, and then the size of it. So that is the first way of initialization. Whenever we are going to get the enter from the user, we are going to enter that elements. After that, what we can use, we can also define a array name with the data type, and also in the size we can mention that size, and then into that we can give the particular value which we want to give in the curly braces, and then end it with a semicolon. Or we can also do that, what we can just give a size, and we cannot define whether if we want a particular size, like if I want 10, 20, we can just leave the size blank and we can give the values, and it automatically, when the program will run, it will check the size, that what is basically the size of that. So this was the way through which we basically mean what we mean by an array and what do we mean by the array initialization. Then we come to a part that is called the assessing of the array. So whenever I'm talking about an array, one thing you need to keep in mind, that whenever we are using an array, the index value of an array always start with 0. Suppose say if I have defined the elements 5, means the size of an array is 5. So the index value of the 5 variables in an array, that is, suppose say I have defined int a, and in brackets I've written 5. So basically the first part of the array will be 0. So the numbers will be 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So this will be the particular numbers that will be included into that array. So when I'm talking about the assessing the array, the contents of the array are called elements. With each element there has an index number. So with the index number we are going to assess that particular array. So let us understand this with the help of example, so it's easy for you to get it. Now here you can see a program which will tell you that how we are basically going to assess that array, and how we can actually see the value that is present at a particular index and how we can assess it. So here I have included an accessory header file. Then I'm going to start with the main function in which I'm going to define an array. The array here is going to be of integer type. So I defined here an array that is int x. The x is the name of the array. In the bracket I've given the size of the array. It's your choice whether you want to give the size, whether you want to get it entered from the user, whatever. So in the x equals to 5, size 5 equals to the number of things that I want to give. I given all the content into that particular array. Now after that I have given all the content, I want to assess that. Suppose say I want to assess the first index value at 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. If I want to assess any of the values from there, then how I'm going to assess that value. So here what I am going to write, I am going to write a printf statement so that I want to assess the element over here. So first of all I'll write over here a printf statement, the second element in the array. Now in this case what I'm going to do, I'm going to just assess the element that is second in this place in this array. So as I told you, whenever we am talking about a array index, so the array index will always start with a 0 number. So here the first number that is 10, it has a 0 index. 1, 2, 3, 4. So means the number 5 will include it till 0 to 4. Now I have given over here that x that is at number 1, I need to assess that. So you think in mind that what should be displayed before seeing my output. So when I'm going to execute this code, so what will be exactly the output that could be printed to me? The number that is present at the second element. The number that is present at the second element, that is 20. So when I'm going to run this code, so the answer that will be displayed to me is 20. If I want to change the number, if I want to use any other part, then I'm going to use that another number. Now in this way we can initialize any of the value which you want to do and we can assess that number accordingly. Now if I want to use the assessing and use the loops in it. So how I am going to assess that particular number, and with the help of loops I am going to assess that number. So here I am going to use a say array. I have given over a array int purchase and which I have given the size it as 3. And I'm going to assign it some values, 3 values. So according to that I'm going to perform some action. So what action I'm going to perform exactly in this code? I'm going to add all the purchases and give to me a total. So according to that total I'm going to print that output. So in this case I'm going to take some variables in which I will store the total, and also I'm going to take some value in which I'm going to take it as a loop. So basically for that I have taken over here k. So basically we can use loops with a way to, if we want to enter all the elements, also if we want to perform some task. So basically we are assessing the array element with the help of a for loop. When we are going to use with a scanf statement, when we want to enter some content from the user, we are going to use for loops only. Stay tuned with them in the video. I'm going to explain further that how we are going to assess the content if I want from the user, and how does a for loop work. So I have given a for loop, it's going to check the condition and going to add total within the purchase, means whichever element in the purchase I'm going to add into that. So now you can see I've passed over here k into it. So why I've passed over k into it? Because the k initial value is 0. So it will first go to the 0 number, that is 10, then it will go to 30, then it go to 90, and then add that particular number into the total variable. So whenever we're going to add that number into a total variable, the output whenever we're going to show me, it will show me the resultant of the things, that it is 10 plus 30 plus 90. So basically the loop purpose over here is and moving my k into that purchase thing, that is the purchase array name. The thing k is because whenever it will check go into that index number, it will go to that particular index number like 0, then 1, then 2, then 3 and so on. So basically when it will move further, only increment the value as we do in a loop, it will work according to that. If you don't know how the loops work, do watch my video. I have explained you about loop. So when I'm going to run this code and execute this code, so the output that will be displayed to me will be according to the content of the total. Now when we are talking about this thing, we also need to understand that how we can assess it with the help of a scanf statement that you enter from the user by using a for loop. Let's understand this with the help of an example. So now in the previous case what we were doing, we were just giving initializing the value and we were entering that particular data. Now in this case what we am going to do, I am going to take the input also from the user, like number of statement it want to enter. I am also going to enter the elements also from the user and going to print that element also from the user. Here you can see I have defined an array, I have defined a variable and another variable also. The n variable over I have given so that how many elements the user want to enter. So first of all I am going to ask the user that enter the size of an array, like what size that you actually want. So here you could see that I have given over there 20 size, and then I am asking the user what size they want to enter. So basically when I am going to just define an array, I just need to define a size that not more than this size can be included into the array, but less than this size will be included in the array. So whenever I'm going to enter the size, it should be less than 20 but not more than 20, because if it will be more than 20, then it will not accept the content from the user. Now I'm going to enter the elements that I want to enter, like number of elements it will show me, like enter the number of elements number and in the array. Now I'm going to enter that particular numbers into that array. So now when I want to enter this number particular elements in an array, for that I am going to use a scanf statement. But before the scanf statement, I am going to use a for loop. Why we are going to use a for loop? Because this is an array. In an array, we can't just simply scan the variable. We need a for loop for it. So I'm going to add a for loop over here for I equals to 0, in which I'm going to define that I should be keep on moving until it is less than n, and it should keep on incrementing the value and then scan up that particular statement. So in this way, what it will take, it will scan the value and move it to the further index until the value should be less than 5 n. So here n value will be the number that I whatever I given. Then I want to scan it, so I will pass in a, that is I. As in the previous case, we were passing k in the particular purchase part. Here I have used I, so I will pass over here I. You have to pass that thing only which you are defining in the for loop. So after that I have done this. Now I want to print the elements that were available in the array. So I'm going to print a statement, the elements in the array. So when I'm going to print this statement, so whenever the content that you have scanned from the user and you want to print that content scanned by the user to your point, so then in that case also what we are going to use, we are going to use a for loop. With the for loop, we are going to use a printf statement in which we are going to print that particular values with that particular index. So I have used here a percentage %d in which I am going to print that a in bracket I and all the values incrementing again and again after that and will be showing me. So in that case, what it will going to increment, the values that were being scanned, it will go to that index value 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on, whatever the number it is given, and then show me the desired value. So whenever I'm going to run this code, so first of all it will ask me the array size, then it's going to ask me the elements of the array, then it's going to print me that particular array. So as we can see in the code when we are going to compile it, size of the array, so size of the array I have given here as 5. Elements of array, so I'm going to element 5 relative elements of array, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, so or 20, whatever you want to enter. So I'm going to enter that array. Now the elements are printed to me. So now as we were talking about the array, so when we were just choosing it, so it was a kind of a simple one-dimensional array. So now when we are talking about arrays, we have two kinds of array. One is a one-dimensional array, there is a two-dimensional array that we possibly use, and when we are talking about more than array, that is called as a multi-dimensional array. So when I'm talking about here, now we are going to use a two-dimensional array. So here you can see I have defined an array which I'm going to give a, 2 and 3. So basically this is a two-dimensional array, rows as well as column which are included into an array. Probably we are going to use these kinds of array when I want to use a matrix or some other thing. In that case, I'm going to use this kind of array in which I'm going to define some rows as well as the column. So it will work in the similar way as we were scanning it from the user also, but it will differentiate in the way like if we were just asking them the elements to enter, in that case we will ask the size to be the number of rows they want to enter, the number of columns they want to enter. So you can try that on your own. If you don't understand this, do let me know. I'll add into my video or I'll explain you in the comment section if you are not able to clear with that concept. But it is the same way that we are using the scanning. So in this case I just want to get that what is the element that is displayed to me in the third and is row number 2. So what is that particular element? So the index number works the same like 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on as based upon the content. So we are going to check that only. Now we are going to print out the statement, the one element and the second row. Rows as well as columns are defined whenever I am talking about a two-dimensional array. So when I'm going to execute this code, so it will show me the content that is placed at 1 and 2. So what you can do, you can just explain it with the help of a diagram, try to use it. As you can see on the screen also, I've showed you a simple diagram in which you can see that. So guys, I hope you must be clear about the different kinds of arrays that are available. How do we give initialization to an array? What do we mean by initialization of an array? All the doubts which you were having before the video are all being cleared by now. That I post, please do like it, share it, and also subscribe to my channel and share it as much as possible so that each and everyone gets the access to it. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and also please keep supporting, and also you can follow me on my Instagram page. I am posting some content over there also. So stay tuned. Thank you so much.